welcome back to Community Connections. My name is Dawn Lowe. I'm the Executive Director for the Greensburg-Decatur County Chamber of Commerce. We are so excited to have you with us today. We are just plowing right through the month of October. A lot of our schools locally here are on fall break, and so things look a little different in town. I always joke that when schools go on break, I feel like the whole town shuts down just a little bit and takes a little breather. But we are not taking a breather. We are forging right through with our next Community Connections, and our guest today is Champions of Youth. So we're going to talk to Lori Durbin and Sharon Hollowell here in just a couple of minutes. But first, I want to give you a couple of updates. We have not one, but two ribbon cuttings on the books. I just announced one this morning. So with that being said, mark your calendars for Friday, October the 24th at noon. We will be at Reflection RPM. That is located at 3056 North County Road 850 East. Again, that's 3056 North County Road 850 East in Greensburg, Friday, October the 24th, celebrating a new business opening called Reflection RPM. And then on Wednesday, November the 5th, we're going to celebrate with the Brenz Insurance Group, a new insurance group in town run by Jacob Brenson. They are located at 1030 North Lincoln. You might have heard that address before. That's the Studebaker Studio. So if you want to join us on Wednesday, November the 5th at 12:30 in the afternoon, we're going to celebrate with Jacob and the Brenz Insurance Group. Also coming up, we have our annual dinner and cash bash fundraiser. That will be located at Into the Woods. One of the things that we have talked about as an organization, we thought it was really fun to be able to showcase all of our different event centers and locations throughout the county, all of whom are respected chamber members with us. So this will actually complete our circle, and we'll get to kind of start over and do it all again. So we're super excited to complete the circle of event spaces here in Decatur County, celebrating at Into the Woods on Friday, November the 14th. Doors will open at 6 p.m. At the same time, we'll be running the Cash Bash fundraiser. The Cash Bash fundraiser is kind of like a separate event, but we're going to hold it at the same time. So tickets for the Cash Bash fundraiser can be purchased at any time. See myself, Lily Yeager in the office, or one of our board members for a ticket. They are $50 a piece. And the really cool thing about the Cash Bash fundraiser is all of that money gets infused back into the community through our small business grants. So we're actually going to award a couple of small business grants on Friday, November the 14th. And again, that is being supported through the Cash Bash fundraiser efforts. So a really, really great thing to just continue supporting our small business communities here in Decatur County. That Cash Bash fundraiser is a reverse raffle, so if we sell 300 tickets, for instance, we're going to draw a ticket one at a time until we get down to the final ticket. The grand prize, or the last man standing ticket, will win $2,000, and then we will give away over $3,500 in cash prizes that evening. So it's just a lot of fun. It's a fun game to celebrate the business community and continue supporting those chamber members. The annual dinner will feature the renowned awards such as the Don Horan Community Leader of the Year Award, the Entrepreneur of the Year Award, of course the small business grants that I just mentioned, and our Ambassador of the Year. So come celebrate with us on Friday, November 14th. You can find more information about that event online at www.greensburgchamber.com. Another note that I want to make, we are going to cancel the Leaders and Loggers for October this month due to a couple of other conflicts. We think that would be in the best interest of everyone. So no Leaders and Loggers for the month of October. We will pick it back up in November. So continue watching our Facebook for more information. Watch our events page on our website. Again, that's greensburgchamber.com. In studio with us this morning, I have Lori Durbin and Sharon Hollowell with Champions of Youth. Good morning, ladies.
Good morning.
That was in unison. You guys are like
we were
on
practicing.
point today.
We were practicing, silently.
Yes. Well, let's just start off with a little history, a little introduction on each of you. So, Lori, you're to my immediate right here. If you'll go ahead and just introduce yourself and tell us what your involvement with Champions of Youth is and any other organizations that you're a part of.
Okay, well, I'm Lori Durbin, obviously. I work for the Greensburg-Decatur County Public Library. I've been there for 27 years. I started with Champions of Youth back in the day, before when it was Big Brothers Big Sisters.
Okay.
And so I started really with the AIM program, having lunch at school with a child, and I spent probably 10 years maybe in that program, and was a really wonderful way to spend, a half an hour, 45 minutes with a child and really make a difference. And then when my last child went to college, I found myself sort of at loose ends and really wanted to have another child in my life, and so decided that it was the perfect time to become a mentor. And so I had Abby from the time she was in the second grade until she graduated from high school.
Very cool.
And obviously still find her, still believe that she's just part of our family.
Yeah.
But she's an adult and she's busy now, so we don't see her as often as I did before. But that is how I got started with Big Brothers Big Sisters, now Champions of Youth, and it's been a wonderful program.
And remind me again, did you say how long you've been with Champions of Youth?
Well, I started with the AIM program. It's probably been 25 years.
Wow.
Of being involved in some way.
Sure.
And I was
amazing.
on the board for a little while. I actually forgot about that until right this minute. I was on the board for a little while. It didn't work well with my schedule, and so I was not able to continue with that. But I do think it's a really wonderful program, and for a lot of reasons. And I know we're going to get into some of those things here in a little while. So
absolutely,
it's a great program. So if you're listening, keep your ears on, and as I would say at the library, put your listening ears on and pay attention, because there's a lot of good information coming.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll get to some more of that here in just a minute. Sharon, would you go ahead and tell us a little bit more about your background?
All right, I am Sharon Hollowell. I currently help Champions of Youth do grant writing, doing some community outreach like today, and just to build some of the overall knowledge and some of the operations funding for the organization. I actually was an AIM mentor back in the day too, so my involvement goes back a little ways.
Yeah.
A little ways also. I have some strong community ties. I used to be United Fund Director and Foundation Director. We now currently I just do some grant writing and helping out with that. My free time, I like to do some sport work with Special Olympics, so
very nice.
Kind of keeps me busy.
Yeah, absolutely. So can one of you tell us, just give us a little bit of a Cliff Notes version or a summary of what does Champions of Youth does? We know that it's a nonprofit here in our town, but what is the focus? What is the mission?
Would you like me to hit
Go
that
ahead,
one?
Sharon.
Yeah, so Champions of Youth, just so everybody knows, it's actually been here since 1981.
Okay.
So it has been in the community for a very long time. For many people, they will remember that as Big Brothers Big Sisters. Mm-hmm. So just to give a little bit of history so people know, so in the 2010s or so, the National Big Brothers Big Sisters started to focus on a lot of programming that didn't fit them what we were doing locally. It was really focused on large big cities. So at that point in time was when it evolved into Champions of Youth. And since 2019, in Decatur County, Big Brothers Big Sisters have been known as Champions of Youth. So people know Big Brothers Big Sisters a little bit, but Champions of Youth does the exact same thing. We provide adult mentors to children who are facing some real troubles. We have kids in our program who have parents who are incarcerated. We have parents that have drug abuse. Sometimes, it can be as much as they just need an adult mentor, but that's what we do. We provide them that adult mentor that gives them a role model, someone to be a friend with, someone that shows them, and Lori will tell this probably much better because she's experienced it, but someone that kind of gives them someone to model. And just a friend to listen, which they may not have in their home.
Sure. So Lori, you had mentioned that you have been a mentor with the program for 19 or so years. Did you, prior to coming on and signing on as a mentor, did you have any reservations about that?
I wouldn't necessarily say I had reservations. I think that for most of us, the biggest reservation is time commitment.
Sure.
And I think a lot of people think that being a mentor requires really sacrificing a lot of your personal time. And quite honestly, I mean, it is a time commitment, but it can be a time commitment that's as little or as much as you want it to be. I think Big Brothers, and I'm really still really bad at using the wrong term simply because that's what was in my brain for so long. But Champions of Youth, I think, kind of recommend that you spend an hour or so every couple of weeks with a child. And I did a little more than that simply because I had the time and I had the ability to be able to do that. And we sort of, a lot of times mentors will spend time just one-on-one with their little or with their mentee. But she kind of got absorbed into our family life. So that's not something that you have to do. But she came to all of our family events, and, my grandchildren for the longest time couldn't understand, when she wasn't there, why she wasn't there, because she was just a part of our family. And she and I spent a week, every week, several hours together every week. I picked her up every Wednesday. We did a lot of different things together. So I think reservation-wise, most people are afraid of the time commitment, but it really can be what you want it to be. It doesn't have to be quite as detailed or as lengthy as the time that I spent with Abby, but because I felt like not only did I mentor her, but she had a younger sister. I sort of mentored her mom some with some different things, and we became friends. And so I feel like ours developed into more of a relationship than you are absolutely required to do.
Sure. So with the time commitment, Sharon, talk a little bit about some of the expenses that might come along with that. Taking on an additional child, whether it be for an hour or 3 hours, going and doing whatever the activity might be, might incur some costs. And I think that I have heard that there is some reservation or hesitation from people there. Maybe that is a fear that we can
one of the things that I want to say is that part of the match process is trying, and our staff, one of the things that I have to give the staff the greatest kudos for is they really get to know the mentors and the mentees. So as part of the match process, they work really, really hard to put people together that they feel have abilities, like interests.
Okay.
So to make that getting together easier.
Sure.
And one of the other things that I think is important to know is they don't just set you free. They do a few initial meetings with the mentor and the mentee to make sure that you are compatible.
Okay.
So just make it easier.
Yeah.
They are also there. If you face issues that you're not ready for, the staff is there to answer those questions. They are there to be that support system for anybody in the program. And so now I'll get back to your question. We never ask a mentor or a mentee for money or to pay for anything.
Okay.
We encourage you to do free things. Go to the library. There's lots of stuff to do at the library.
Right.
We have a fabulous park right behind me that you can go play at. I know from Lisa and reading stuff, we have people that just work on crafts that they like together. I know on the guy's side, we have people that just go fishing. Sometimes it's even, a little boring. It may be helping with homework. Mm-hmm. It may also be that person that shows up when the kid has science fair or has a music program or a performance or something like that. So if you think about it, there's really a lot of free things to do in the community. And, and it could even just be go for a walk. It doesn't have to be, go to the movie, go to the zoo, leave town, go to X. The other thing that I know, and I'm not sure how much they do, but they have a few things like connections with the Y to give you like day passes. And I know Lisa tries to have a few things available to help with that.
Okay.
But it's our goal that our mentors don't spend money to do that.
And maybe down that barrier for families to be involved.
And I'll chip in on that and just say, most of what I did with Abby was didn't cost me anything more than I would have. I mean, if she ate dinner with us, I mean, you all know you make dinner, especially when you've had kids at home, and that one child eating what you're having for dinner,
Sure.
But that's how we introduced her to new foods and new things that she wasn't aware of. And the first day that I had her, we went outside and I blew bubbles. She was in the second grade. I blew bubbles and she caught them and popped them. I mean, a container of bubbles is 50 cents. The most of what we did, I just incorporated her into the things I was already doing. So if we baked cookies, but I baked cookies a lot anyway, so that really didn't cost anything extra. So you really don't have to spend. It's not about dollars. It's about time and commitment and showing that child that you care enough to show up every time you say you're going to. Right. Because so many of these kids have people in their lives who don't show up for whatever reason. That could be that they can't physically or emotionally actually be there. And so it's not there's really not a dollar figure that you can put on that, because you can spend, with the exception of the gas that it costs you to go pick the child up. And at one point she lived close enough to us that I walked to pick her up and I walked to take her home, and that was some of our most fun moments together when she was younger. So it's not if monetary commitment is your concern, I think that is probably the last thing that people should be worried about, because money is just not an object. With Champions of Youth. That's not the goal at all.
Yeah. Sharon, take us through the process. You mentioned the process and the support by the staff. What does that look like for both a mentor and a mentee? How do those children get chosen? And if I were to come in and say I would like to be a mentor, what can I expect?
Okay, we'll start with you. You can definitely walk in, because we have a lot of kids waiting for mentors.
Yes.
So adult times is something we really, really need. But the process is an application process. So fill out the application so we know the nuts and bolts about you. We ask for references. So there's a check with those references. There is also a background check locally and nationally. We definitely want to make sure that our kids are safe. Absolutely. There is a home visit also. And I think that gets through it's a little bit of a lengthy process, but that gets through kind of the nuts and bolts of the details. So then what they will start to do is you then become a mentor available to match. So like I said, they look for then a child that they feel you'll be compatible with. Whether that's, and compatibility not also means like Lori said, one of the things that they look at is if you live in St. Paul, they're probably not matching you with a kid in Westport.
Gotcha.
So they really do look at that ability to be able to get together. So that's also part of what they will do as far as, on the mentor side. For the mentee, anybody can call in. We get a lot of references from family members saying, hey, this is happening in our family. We hear from teachers, school administrators, the court systems. But, basically, if it is a child in need of support, then that child can be eligible. There is a process and paperwork also for those children also, too.
So then I say I come and I go through the application process, the home visit, the reference check. You deem me suitable to be a mentor, and then you match me. What happens next?
So you're going to help me with this, Lori, because I have not been through this part. The match process, the first couple of matches, or the first couple of meetings, are you with the child and with one of our staff members. So then the staff can get feedback. Some of it is just feel, oh no, this is, this will or will not work maybe. And then it's also talking with them afterwards so we can get that feeling. And then they will they will sit through those meetings till there's, yes, this is going to work. Yes, this is not going to work. And then the other thing to know is once you're matched, you're just not free and willy-nilly and, set out all to your own. Our staff checks in with the mentor, the mentee, the school, and family every month. We do this to celebrate the good stuff that's happening, because we want to know.
Absolutely.
We want to know that yes, my mentee for the first time got an A+ on their spelling test, or decided to try out for choir. But it's also if we get that sense that something's going wrong, then our staff can step in and figure out what that issue is and give that support. So you have support monthly. You know someone's going to check in with you every month to make sure things are going okay. So hopefully that gives you also just a little more confidence that you know there's someone always there for you.
And
you help too on
you
that
can
one.
always call in. I mean, if you have a meeting with your kid and things don't go well and you're concerned, you can always call in. I really think I have a little bit of a funny story just real quick that I think that Lisa might be magic because Lisa Hermish, because I think she has some sort of like gift for matching people, because I went in and I told you that Abby had a younger sister, and when I met both girls at the same time, and a girl that I worked with at the library was also coming in to the program at the same time. We were both Lori's, which was very interesting. And we both were looking to match with one of these girls. And I went home absolutely positive that the younger of the two girls was going to be the best match for me. And when Lisa called me and told me she had matched me with the older child, I mean, they're like 11 months apart, so it wasn't too much. But I was kind of like, oh, that's not what I expected.
Yeah.
Well, as it turned out, Lisa was right. It really was the perfect match.
Very interesting.
The both matches worked out exactly the way that they should have. Unfortunately, the other Lori left town a couple of years later, and then the younger sister didn't really have a mentor. I tried to fill a little bit of some of that. And again, that's a personal thing. That's not, you don't have to do that.
Sure.
But once you become a part of someone's life, it's really easy to kind of, at least for me, it was just kind of easy to pull everybody in. But it's just funny because I swear Lisa's got some magic touch with knowing how to match people and knowing how it works. But you're never really out there on your own. I mean, I can remember when, Abby was struggling with a couple of things, and I actually met Lisa at Walmart just in passing and said, this is I'm sort of struggling with this. And she gave me some advice, and she gave me some ideas on things I could try. And so the staff is there to help you.
Love that.
And I want to say, and I don't know, this is probably going to come up here, but I just want to say, so I know what kind of budget that Champions of Youth works on, and I know how hard their grant process is, because they don't have a product. They don't have a specific need. The grant money needs to go toward paying the people who are doing the work to make these matches. And I know how difficult that is for them. But it is so, so, so important for them to be in our community. I know many people who've had matches, and I know how good it's been for the adult and for the child to have that match. And without those dollars, and I'm so happy that you're helping with the fundwriting part, because without those dollars, it doesn't exist, because it's people, it's not things, it's not new office equipment or whatever they need. It's making sure that those humans are there to actually make those matches and do the work that goes into that.
Sure.
And that is so important. And I don't know that people really understand how much personal commitment the staff make to doing what they're doing. And I think that's kind of important to recognize.
Yeah. Well, let's talk a little bit about the operational side of that. So we're mentioning children and numerous children. How many children are in the program?
So there are 61 or 62 matched right now. The waiting list, and by waiting list, I'm going to tell you our kids who have filled out all of the paperwork and are ready to get a person.
Okay.
There are, I think, the same number, right around that 60 or a little above.
Really?
Really. So
Wow.
the need for mentors is really, really there, because those kids are there waiting. And then kids that we have that are kind of in that process, that have made that inquiry and haven't fully completed the paperwork and done the full process, the number is right around 200.
Those are outstanding numbers.
They are much larger, I think, than anyone would believe. But
Absolutely.
And just a little, because since I write the grants and the demographics, over 90% of those kids, it's more like 99% of those kids are in poverty at some level. It means that almost all of those kids, live in a one-parent household. The other thing that Lori was mentioning about the staff is our staff become almost a part of the families also. They become the support system because they start to feel comfortable and they understand that our staff is where they can call and talk to. So our staff sometimes are the ones that call and help them get the connections with food or housing support, or, the things that we see is, as the kids start to do stuff, they want to become involved. So, maybe they want to do sports or 4-H or, drama or music or whatever it is. So we help them find the ways to buy the baseball mitt or the basketball shoes and things like that a family in poverty, they're worried about, the necessities. And so we help our staff really helps find those things too. Some of the things that we do is we're working on grants to help just have some food and snacks available. Things like that. One of the cool things that we do is we do hygiene kits and period packs for our girls. One of the biggest reasons a lot of girls in that age miss school is because they don't have supplies. So we do extra things like that for the kids in our program. And those things are from kids, from those people that have just started out through the matches. So, and the staff also reaches out to those kids, just those kids in process every month also. Yeah. So they at least know if they don't have a mentor yet, there's somebody there for them.
Talk a little bit about who can be a mentor. Is there an age requirement? Is there...
You may officially have went over my I believe it's 18 and above.
Okay.
I do know from listening to Lisa talk, you don't have to live in Decatur County. She has some mentors that live outside the county. So, it's an adult who wants to give their time. You don't have to have a degree in education. You don't have to be like Lori and work with the children at the library all the time. Right. You just have to want to help. I mean, I guess you kind of think back to all of us were in that age at some point in our lives that we felt like we needed something. And maybe that mentor for some of us was a coach or a teacher or the next door neighbor. This is just a little bit more formalized process. The positive of the formalized process is that there's real evidence that it works. I mean, there are statistics that show that people that have long-term mentors have a better chance of going to college, going to trade school, doing better things with their lives, better members of our community. It's just, you just need to be there for them. And I got to throw in the fun fact. Since 2008, every child that's been in our core program has graduated from high school. So we are really, really proud to say we've given that little bit of, extra push. Our mission or vision, I guess should say, is to make every child's life better. And we feel that getting them to that point hopefully has given them the basics to continue on.
So I was just it's funny that you just gave us that statistic, because I was just going to ask you both have been in the program for a lengthy amount of time, long enough to have seen some direct impact. Mm-hmm. And my question was going to be, what kind of impact have you seen over the course of your 10, 15, 20 years with the program? And that statistic, you said since 2008,
yes,
every child has
2008.
Graduated. That's impressive.
Yeah.
That's impressive. Anything else come to mind?
Well, I think just the idea that, I think about some of the kids that I had in the AIM program. When I just ate lunch, I went to a school and ate lunch with a child. And I really am sad that program no longer exists. And I know that there are a lot of reasons that it doesn't. It kind of ended during COVID. But I still, every once in a while, I was at a store and I was paying, and a young lady said, "Are you Lori?" And I said, "I am." And she said, "You were my mentor when I was in the 5th grade in Mr. Simpson's class. You came to eat lunch with me every day." And I said, "I remember you." And so we chatted a minute, and she said, I said, "What are you doing?" And she said, "Well, I'm back in school. I have a little boy, and I want to make his life better than my life was." Now, I know that all sounds very, like that's when you see those stories written out or you hear them on the internet or whatever, but it was true.
Yeah.
She said, you came every week. You never let me down. You were there every single week, and that made such a difference for me. And so it's not really, and I think that's the most important thing about the mentor program is, it doesn't cost you anything, and it doesn't take, hours and hours out of your day or out of your time. And if you can give an hour every couple of weeks to pick a child up, throw a ball around in the yard, go to the library, get ice cream, run to the park, just chat with them about what's going on. Because some of these kids, it's not that their parents don't care, but they're struggling with so many of life's responsibilities. If they're single parents, maybe they're working 2 jobs, maybe they have more than one child, they're struggling with their own needs and to make sure that their kids have the things that they have to have. Sometimes just having that hour a day to talk to somebody who isn't stressed out by those things is so important.
Yeah.
And sometimes just the ability to say, I just can remember sometimes Abby would say, I'm so mad at my mom, because kids get mad at their moms, right? That happens. But if you don't have anybody to say that to, where do you put that emotion? And then sometimes we would just chat, and I would say, I'm really sorry, what happened, or what's going on? And most of the time it was, she made me clean my room, or she told me I couldn't watch TV past 10 o'clock, or, just the things that kids get irritated or aggravated about. And but just having that moment of time to just talk about it, share about it, maybe laugh about it, really eased some of that tension that could have really built between the two of them if she hadn't had a place to actually say it out loud somewhere.
Just having that friend to lean on.
And that's what it's all about. It's about, maybe we should stop using mentor and just say friend, because literally that's what it is. It's just that a little friendship that you develop that gives that child sometimes visions of what the world can look like from a different place.
Right.
Because sometimes these kids don't have experiences that show them that they can make different choices. They can make better choices. They can make, choices that will allow them to finish high school, get a degree in something. My Abby is a medical assistant. She's working in Batesville, and I'm so proud of that because she did that on her own.
Yeah.
But I don't know that she would have done that without some of the things that she and I did together. She was football manager, and the only reason she was football manager is because I kind of browbeat her into, like, every time I saw her, I was like, did you talk to the coach yet? Did you talk to the coach yet? And finally she did. And then she loved that.
Yeah.
And, I remember when she was probably in the 4th grade, she was very shy, and I made her, I say that in quotation marks, but I encouraged her. She went into the grocery store and bought a newspaper and brought it back out to me. And she just glowed because she did that all by herself.
Yeah.
And,
that independence.
That independence and the ability to order for yourself at a restaurant, or when you get ice cream, or, those kinds of things are things that some of us have had the ability and the privilege of teaching our own children. But other people don't have that privilege because they're struggling with other things.
Yeah.
And so if you have the ability to do that for a child, then I highly recommend it because it's really rewarding on both sides.
Right. So we're down to just a couple of minutes left here. Unfortunately, I know 30 minutes flies. But with those last couple of minutes, we've talked a little bit about some of the needs. You obviously are short-handed on mentors. You've got 61 kiddos who have gone through the entire application process that are just waiting for that mentor to walk through the door. Outside of the mentor piece, what is the biggest hurdle or the biggest need for Champions of Youth?
As Lori said, we are a service organization. We are our staff. They are the people that are there doing all of the work and doing all the outreach, finding the mentors, checking in on the mentees, and doing all of that. And a lot of times grants don't want to fund operational staff.
Absolutely.
So
Yes.
for us, we are purely supported by grants and donations.
Okay.
So that support from the community, which as always, our community is awesome. I mean, they step up and they give. But we could have 2 or 3 more staff. I mean, easily. I may have overspoke for Lisa, but I think as hard as they work to get those people to find those mentors, they could use, everything that they can. So we continue to write for everything that we can.
Well, and the background checks for mentors aren't free.
Exactly.
So that's a cost that's in there. The paperwork that's required, that's not free either.
Yes.
That all has to be printed. So those kinds of operational costs are things I think that people forget about as well.
Sure.
And again, that just the fact that they are there. The people are the most important part of this particular organization.
Yeah. Lori, you talked at the very beginning about the first time that you met your little one, who you've said his name is Abby. You talked about blowing bubbles with her. Take us back to that very first time that you met and paint a picture for us. What was that day like for you?
I do have wonderful pictures. I have wonderful pictures of that actual day. It was February. Our anniversary is in February, and so it was cold outside, but we were just looking for something to do. She was very shy, and I'm not shy. So I had to learn how to deal with someone who didn't necessarily respond to my sort of outgoing, gregarious nature. And so I took her outdoors and I gave her a little pair of white gloves to wear because she wanted to catch the bubbles and her hands were cold. And so I have these beautiful pictures of her eyes just shining. She had very, very short hair at that moment that she hated. And so, and I also had really short hair. So that was kind of something that we talked about, it's okay because it'll grow and it'll be fine. And now she has the most beautiful, long, gorgeous hair. But I just have this picture of her little face, and I'd blow the bubbles, and she would jump and catch them, and pop them in her hands, and just the giggles and the joy that she got. And we probably spent 30 to 45 minutes outside, and then I think we went in the house and had hot chocolate, because that's kind of what I did with my kids. We played outside in the cold, we came in with hot chocolate. But I have so many memories of things that she and I both touched an elephant for the first time together because we had tickets to the zoo, and I got to do an elephant exhibit. And some of the very small things, though, we read together. She'd read a page, I'd read a page. We colored together. We baked cookies together. Just all the things that you enjoy. We'd go to the grocery store, and I can just remember, because I would say, you can have anything you want. I'll buy you, you can spend this much money, you can have whatever you want. And she almost always bought either fruit or yogurt, because those two things didn't fit their budget. And those were the things that felt like a special treat to her. Yeah. And I'm not saying, I want to say the other thing is, I think sometimes we have mistaken ideas about what these families are like. Her mother was a wonderful mom. She tried. She worked really hard. She took good care of her house. Her kids were clean. There was it wasn't that they were bad people. Right. It's not that. It's that she was a single mom. Abby had an accident when she was a child, and she just needed they needed some more socialization, and that really is what it was all about. And I am so proud of her mother for taking that step to get her kids involved in Champions of Youth, because it made a huge difference. Both girls graduated school. Both girls are on to careers in healthcare. And so it's not that the families aren't good families. Right. It's just that their circumstances are maybe not ideal.
We always talk about that it takes an army
to
raise a child, and this is just part of that army.
And we're so socially isolated these days. The internet's wonderful, and these kids, everybody's got their online friends, and I would be the last person to say that those people aren't your friends, but that socialization is so important. When I very first got Abby, she couldn't speak above a whisper to anyone. And, now she's kind of one of those, if she's got an opinion, she's going to tell you what it is. And I feel like that was so important, that she needed to learn that she could stand up. One of the questions that Lisa sent me that you might ask was, what's one of the things that you told her all the time, or that you told your mentee all the time? And the thing I told her was, you are strong. You are an independent woman. You can do anything you want to do. And when you're a grown up, you can make decisions that will make your life different than what you have now, better or worse, because you can make make decisions one way or the other, but you get to do that. And I really do think that was an important lesson for her to learn.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so I just if I could mentor, 47, if I could mentor all 61 of those kids, I would love to.
Yeah.
And I'll just even say, if you're thinking about being a mentor and you want to talk to somebody and you want to ask like questions that maybe you think are hard questions that you're not comfortable, I'm at the library. You can find me easily.
Yeah.
98% of the people in this community probably have my cell phone number. So, if you want to talk to me, you know where I am. And I would love to talk with people about what that potential and possibility is like.
Yeah.
Because there's really nothing like it.
Well,
There
thank you
isn't.
for sharing your story, sharing your testimony, and giving us an inside look on what that looked like for you. Sharon, go ahead and wrap us up and tell us how to become a mentor if we're interested, for those who are listening or watching on YouTube.
All right.
What does that first step need to be?
A call to the office. Ask for Lisa. It is 663-7556. I think I did that right. Let's check, but I think that's right. Or just get online. It's championsofyouth.org.
Okay.
Reach out to them via that.
And you've got Facebook as well.
Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, all of those good things. The Facebook page is wonderful. You can see the stories. It's if you need a happy Facebook page, in a way, they show the positive a lot.
Yeah.
They also show that they need the mentors, but
Yeah.
reach out that way also.
Awesome. So if you're interested, we will have it in the notes as well. But go ahead and reach out to Champions of Youth. We want to thank you for being very positive influences in our community. Thank you for being a part of making it better each and every day. And thank you also for being a member of the Greensburg-Decatur County Chamber. We're excited and happy to support your efforts through that chamber membership. With that, I am Dawn Lowe from the Greensburg-Decatur County Chamber. This has been Community Connections.